Hello everyone and welcome back to Iraqi Dinar News, your number one source for the absolute latest updates and intel on everything happening with the Iraqi dinar. And today I'm coming to you with what honestly feels like one of the biggest, most electrifying developments we've had all year. Something that has the entire community buzzing because the information coming in right now suggests that the final pieces of the puzzle aren't just being put into place, they are being locked in, sealed, and prepared for rollout, with Intel guru Mark X over at PDK dropping what can only be described as a bombshell update that confirms the one legislative domino we've been told over and over for years would be the final signal before revaluation. Has reportedly been signed, the Hydrocarbon Law, the HCL, the big one. The law that determines how Iraq's massive oil and gas wealth is distributed among every province and region, including Kurdistan, and this report is saying that Parliament has signed it behind the scenes. Not yet releasing it publicly or publishing it in the Gazette, which fits perfectly with Iraq's pattern of moving strategically in silence, because they always align everything behind closed doors before they make anything public. And Mark X even said he wouldn't be surprised at all by this move because Iraq has a long history of signing major legislation quietly and revealing it only when the implementation is already lined up, which tells us they're in that final critical phase where every small detail must be cinched before anything hits the public eye. A phase where they absolutely cannot afford market shocks or premature speculation, because if this law is truly signed, that means the central government has finally unified all factions, ended the years of internal disputes over oil revenue, and positioned the country for genuine economic sovereignty. And what makes this even more explosive is that Mark X's intel didn't stop at the law itself. He went straight into rate expectations, stating the reinstatement range for the Iraqi dinar is projected between $3.22 and $4.26, which is huge because $3.22 isn't some fantasy number. It's Iraq's historical pegback before the wars and sanctions, meaning a return to this rate would be a literal reinstatement of its true economic value. And the higher end, that potential $4.25, $4.26 zone, represents Iraq stepping into the future as a global economic powerhouse, factoring in their untapped oil reserves, their gold, their growing non-oil sectors, their new international partnerships, and the stability that comes from finally resolving oil revenue disputes through the HCL. And Mark X even said he personally feels the rate may land closer to the mid-$4 range, which aligns with everything we've been tracking all year, from Sudanese push to strengthen the dinar and reduce dependence on the US dollar, to the central bank tightening currency controls, to the amendments to the 3-year budget that directly relate to oil extraction costs, to the rollout of upgraded electronic banking systems, all pointing to a nation preparing for a major monetary shift, and according to this intel, the window for both the public release of the HCL and the potential new rate is within Q4, yes. This quarter before January 1st, meaning we are literally in the final stretch. The last moments before the new financial year when Iraq has every incentive to start fresh with a unified law, a new rate, and an economy ready for foreign investment. Because the HCL is the one law that international energy giants have been waiting on for over a decade before committing billions to Iraq. And with it reportedly signed, that signals to the IMF, the World Bank, and global markets that Iraq is finally stable, unified, and ready to manage its wealth responsibly. And this is why we have always said the HCL is the key that unlocks the RV, because a nation cannot have a high-value international currency if it is still fighting internally over how its own resources are shared. And the signing of the HCL effectively ends that chapter, transforming Iraq from a country struggling with internal disagreements into a cohesive economic force prepared to re-enter global markets with confidence. And that's exactly why this intel is so massive. It suggests the fight is over. The signatures are done, the law is complete, and we are now simply waiting for the public announcement and the rollout mechanics, which puts us in the most exciting position this community has ever been in. moving from waiting for a decision to waiting for an announcement, with a potential rate that could shock global markets. Reposition Iraq as a major player. Challenge the petrodollar system by allowing Iraq to sell its oil in a high-value national currency, and represent what could genuinely become one of the largest wealth-shifting events in modern financial history for everyday dinar holders who have waited, studied, and stayed committed through years of ups and downs. Because a reinstatement in the $3-4 range instantly transforms Iraq's role in the global economy, attracts massive capital inflows, and pushes the country into the upper tier of currency valuations worldwide. And while we must always remember that this intel is not yet an official government press release from Sudani or the CBI, it fits perfectly with Iraq's long-established pattern of moving silently, finishing the work behind the scenes and announcing major changes only when everything is already complete. Which means this period right now, this silent window, is exactly when major shifts tend to happen. And if this HCL signing is accurate, then it truly unlocks everything. The budget, the rate, the foreign investments, the monetary reform, and the entire economic vision Sudani has been pushing since day one, making this the most promising, most aligned, and most logical moment for Iraq to finally make the move. And as we enter the final weeks of Q4, this intel paints a picture of a country that has quietly completed the one step everyone said must be done before the RV could occur, setting the stage for a potential announcement at any moment. So stay alert, stay tuned, and make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because Iraqi Dinar news will be right here the second this goes public, bringing you every update the moment it breaks.